Okay, there we go.
That's why I say it's about the choices we make. Of course, now I can't find it. John, do you have any impressions? Well, I can't find the score. All right, well, we'll just work with this score for now. So, what's our time signature here?
6/8, it says.
Yeah, what does that tell us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mendelssohn wrote some songs without words that have the same time signature. Do anybody know what they are or what the titles are by any chance?
No.
Venetian Boat songs? And what about the Chopin Barcarolle or the Chopin Ballades? What are they often in? What time signature is that? Three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. Is it in 6/8?
Probably.
Yes, it's in 6/8.
Yes,
So,
6/8.
the Berceuse, the Ballades, the Barcarolle, they're in this genre of night music, which is in 6/8, which is this whole thing. It came from certain songs, and Chopin really capitalized on that. And in 6/8, where can we put the emphasis? Any ideas? Is it in 2? Is it in 3? Is it in 6? Is it in 1?
Like 3/4 time or what?
No, I'm talking about 6/8 time.
Okay.
But just because it's in 6/8 time, what's the emphasis? I mean, how can I parse it out, right?
Hmm.
It's not always going to be the same. I mean, what is it really here?
Well, the sixth note is your longest note, so wouldn't that be the place for emphasis?
Well, I could have it in 2, right? I could have it in 3. I could have it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does this one seem like? I'm going to play a little faster than it really goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See how that's kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How it's kind of in 2. You see, what I'm talking about is where the metric emphasis goes. And that's why in this case, he slurred it the way he did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's showing us that the left hand is really in 2 within this 6/8 context. See, in music, things aren't really what they seem. There's an implication. It's a symbolic representation of what's really supposed to happen. Now, let's go look at the third measure on the right hand. What's happening there?
It's dancing with the left hand.
No. Tell me what's happening in the right hand. What's the meat? Where's the slur? What's the phrase?
First and second note.
Huh?
First and second note.
In the right hand?
Yeah.
The slur goes over the first and second note and
I
stops.
don't know. I'm not even looking at the sheets. Hold on.
Look at the sheet. I put it in the thing.
So the slur is going over all 6 notes.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, what does that tell us? How's that different from the left hand? Is he trying to make it different? Well, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, so is that to say that we don't necessarily want to emphasize one note over the other?
Well, it suggests there's a longer line, doesn't it? I mean, when we have three-note groups, he wants to show us the groups, two three-note groups is a sense of two. When it's all six of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's a longer line, isn't it? That's not to say, I mean, where's that? The first note is a quarter note, right? So 1, 2, and in fact, it's missing a dot, but in this score, but it should be a dotted quarter note. But the idea is it's a longer phrase. I mean, if we look at measure 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and that contrasts, because this is like the rocking of the water, right? Sorry to look at that. There's kind of a rocking, undulating quality, right? Kind of like the Mendelssohn Venetian boat song, which I might find.
Very interesting that you mentioned that because I almost chose the Baccarat.
Yeah, because it's another one of those pieces, that Chopin. My teacher Pollock made a big deal about how the ballades and the Barcarolle and the Berceuse, just this night music, this genre of these. This doesn't have the songs without words, of course, but there's a gondola song. Let's see if this has it.
I don't think the other visitors can see the Chopin.
Well, if it's in the chat window, if they look in the chat window, they can.
Oh,
I put it there, and then they could take a look.
oh, I see. Okay.
Now this is the gondola. Does that sound like it's in 6A? And in fact, look at that. See how it's phrased with the slurs, right? And see how similar that is to the Berceuse.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, for Chopin, well, this is 1837. It's about the same time. The Berceuse would have been. Actually, I'd have to check. John, could you look up the composition date of the Berceuse? And see, we have the melody there, but you see how we set up this undulating da 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 da, and then you have the melody which soars over it. Interestingly, Mendelssohn has it in the left hand, and Chopin has the melody in the right hand. But anyway, if you're thinking, it's
I'm
nice.
showing 1844 for.
So, Chopin might have even been aware that Mendelssohn had done this. He this genre had to come out of somewhere. Mendelssohn did a number of these Venetian gondola or Venetian boat songs, particularly in the songs without words, but this one is just a gondola song that was published. Okay, let's look a little bit more at the Berceuse. Does anybody know more about the piece? Anybody? You've played the piece, John?
Yeah.
What happens? Is it just that same thing over and over again?
The left hand, pretty much.
But what about the right hand?
It dances around, gets different.
Yeah.
It gets a lot more complicated, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it starts off slow and it gets really fast.
So why do you suppose Chopin keeps the left hand the same throughout? What does that sort of do?
It's like to me, it's like a lullaby.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
It kind of rocks you to sleep, right? So he's that one little piece just keeps going over and over, and eventually, when it dies off at the end, the hands just blend together.
Yeah, so it starts in solitary with the left hand,
Yeah.
and they kind of end together. But from a compositional standpoint, what's the advantage of a composer keeping the left hand throughout while the right hand is varied on top?
I don't know. I don't know what's the advantage, but it's pretty hard to write a melody with something that keeps repeating over and over again too.
Mm-hmm. So it shows how. Sorry, go ahead, Nicueva.
No, I was just wondering. I mean, by keeping the left hand so stable like that, so consistent, aren't we trying to lull people into a certain mood? I mean, it's almost like that doesn't allow for um, I don't know, any great variation in terms of how the person is processing it. It just keeps it at that same back and forth.
Hmm.
And I mean, it makes a lot of sense for a lullaby.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
but I think the difficult challenge is making it like a lullaby and soft, and especially when the right hand gets really fast, you still gotta make it soft and clean and precise.
And maybe Chopin wants that conflict a bit too, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Because when you think about it, when you sleep, it's not completely left hand mode, if you would.
Hmm.
You do have some moments where you're tossing and turning and going back and forth, and then you
Yeah.
go right back. I don't know. It seems pretty consistent in some ways, just being at rest.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
my sleep isn't quiet at all. Well,
Yeah.
and when you have the same repetitive rhythmic pattern, does that mean that the speed should be changing?
No. Maybe, but it could. I mean, as a lullaby, you could go fast and slow down and go fast again.
But the whole idea is that basically it probably won't, or he would have maybe written a different accompaniment and go with it. And of course, he does this in the nocturnes as well. You know, nocturnes are also night music. Sometimes they're in six, you know, sometimes they're in four.
Yeah.
But so there's a there's a parallel there too. So the challenge, of course, did other composers do this where they had like a ground bass? Anybody
Yeah.
know? Like, what are some other pieces where the bass is the same and there's all these variations on top?
Oh, yeah. Let me find that dude. He's such a random guy.
There's some
He's
very
hard.
famous ones. I mean, there's the Bach
Yeah.
Chaconne is one, but there's another one by a composer starting with P.
Okay.
Yeah. What? Canon D's a lullaby?
Canon in D, right?
Is it a
Well, I
lullaby?
wouldn't say it's a lullaby, but it's that bass is repeated throughout the entire piece, and its variations on top.
This one is pretty good. From A. Iljinski, Opus 13.
How does that go?
It's very similar to Chopin's Berceuse.
Can you play it on the computer so we hear it?
Shoot, I probably send you a link. Let me find it because I don't have my keyboard hooked up. It's really cool.
What if you played YouTube on your computer? Would it play? We might.
I think so. Let me find it.
Yeah, try it. There's a whole history of these things going back to the Baroque, and so Chopin was very aware of them. I mean, there's a night music element from Mendelssohn, but there's also this ground bass, this repeated pattern from the Chaconne, from Pachelbel's canon. There are many other examples too. And it's an organizational device. You're right. On the one hand, it maybe keeps the mood the same, but the challenge, of course, is that the mood may alter on top and then ultimately come back.
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool piece. Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Oh.
So the bass stays the same throughout?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Except for like maybe 12 measures, it kind of changes it up slightly.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this one is actually hard to play when he starts changing it up because it's like over and beyond an octave, so you got to go, hit it fast. It's like 10 notes apart.
Okay.
So
Can you
that's,
guys?
that's,
Sorry, go ahead. Can you guys?
that's what makes it hard.
Yeah. Well, and of course the Berceuse has quite a bit of variety too. It gets faster and denser, and But
Yeah.
going back, so we talked a little bit about the composition. Does the fingering make sense for what he did? You guys can. Whoops! You guys can watch mine. Well, I don't know if this isn't so. You see my hand?
Yes.
See, that makes sense, right? Pivoting. And then if we go here, see how it's kind of an extension of a 5-finger position we were talking about last week? And it builds in the break. So whoever did the fingering for your edition actually did a good job, I would say. Power supply back. And then let's look at that right hand. Does it make sense to start on 3? What do you think, Sean?
Yeah. That's
Why?
what I normally do.
Why does it make sense?
So I can stretch my thumb to the left and then pinkies in the right when I need to go higher.
Yeah, see, with the 3, it's easy to go down to the 2, skip up a 4th
Yeah.
to the 5, down, and then that crossing through the thumb down to the 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
I would probably go to 1, 4 instead of 1, 3 because you have to pick up the hand and measure 4 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, crossing the 3 over.
Yeah. Actually, I think it is the index finger that I'm playing on. I think it is the index finger that I'm playing on when I first start. I'm just not at the keyboard. Most of the time, it's what I feel again.
3 makes
For me, it's
sense,
feel.
though. You know, 3 makes sense because the hand is balanced. Starting on 2 it wouldn't work as well for the melody. You wouldn't be able to project it as well.
Yeah.
3 is more, and then it makes the crossing make sense too.
Yeah.
It's actually surprisingly well thought out. If this were Henley, it might not be. I'm not a big fan of Henley's fingering.
Huh. I thought you liked his books.
Well, they're okay. I actually like the Wiener Urtext better. Or these. Like I'm working on 109. These are the Baron Wright.
Okay.
These are, but when I can, when I can travel, I'll go to Paris or Tokyo and I'll like compare all the editions. And I like that. I like to have 2 or 3 so I can be making choices. You know, for me, it's about making choices. For a lot of people, it's about, well, how can I get my hands in the right position to play the piece, right?
Sometimes you just have to play and you'll figure it out.
Yeah. But, with some planning, it makes more sense. You can hear the people that just kind of muddle their way through it. It depends on the level you want to play at. If you're just kind of noodling around, then fine. But if you want to make intelligent choices, it's just
So then a good approach for this piece would first be to notice that in the bass clef, we pretty much are keeping that stable sing-song back and forth. So that's not going to be the complicated part, but working with that right hand and the variations that it presents, that's...
Yes, that's where, for instance, if we look at this, this is over on page 4. I'll give you guys a quick sample of that. Why isn't preview work? No, of course it won't copy properly. Figures, text selection, no, rectangular selection. We've got all these notes, and of course it's the same space in the left hand. And it's theme and variations. If one wants to start, let's try this. For composition, the easiest way to learn composition is actually to compose variations because, all right, here we go, your computer. Yep, this should work. Okay, there it is. We start here at the top. Of course, where's the melody then, right? It's in the bottom part. 1, 2, 3. Then it gets more chromatic. And then we have it breaks out, right? But of course, it has the same melodic contour. But you know, it really is a series of theme and variations. It's easier to learn that because once you've got the left hand right, it's there. You can rely on it. You know, and all you do is you learn. Let's see, that fingering makes sense here too so far. Yeah. It seems like a pretty good, it's pretty good. Then of course we go what? At the bottom of that passage we go to triplets, right? So it's like he's pulling out all the stops, all the examples, you know, the kitchen sink. You know, we've got our chords with the melody at the bottom, right? Our 30-second notes. And then we have our triplets. You know, and then it goes on and there's different things as well. But it's a good piece. It's a very good piece. Can you play it? You think you'll be able to play it, Nicueva? Or do you just want to talk about it?
Tonight, I just wanted to talk about it. It will take me some time to be able to play it. It still looks quite complicated at certain parts. It really does. But I mean, I appreciate how you did give me like a reasonable approach.
Mm-hmm. I would treat it like a series of theme and variations. Like you could actually learn different parts of it and kind of go back and forth if you wanted to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like page 6, for instance, is something new, right? You could work on that part and then say, hey, I think I'm going to work on this part that has these staggered triplets. You know, and if some teachers were being really mean, they might actually have you play some of these out of sequence, just to kind of practice how they work. You know?
Yes, yeah.
But like I say, it's an interesting study in variations. It's an interesting study in composition because it starts so simply, it becomes more complicated, and then it winds down again at the end. So it's a good choice, and luckily, it's good fingering. It's a nice addition, I have to say.
Oh, great. Great.
Wait, so which edition does she have?
I'll send you this one.
Huh. I got mine off of that free one.
Where did you get this, Nicueva?
Oh, mercy. Let me see.
I'll try to send it.
How can I upload mine? I don't think I can, huh?
Let me see if I can. Where is it? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't think I can upload anything.
This should work. Where did it go? No, of course I can't find it. Chopin. No, that's not it.
Yours was the very second comment.
Hey, Cueva, join my Facebook group too.
Please.
I have a piano Facebook group. I just posted in there. Join it.
Oh, thank you. Kind of you.
Yeah, I have a bunch of pieces in there too with, you know, you can ask questions and things like that. Trying to get more people to be more interactive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hard right now. Everybody's so busy right now and figuring it out and trying to survive, right?
Yeah, so I learned that piece you just started, Cueva.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's fun. I really like it.
Oh, nice.
It's a very good piece, especially on a Blutner. It sounds really good. Really, really good.
Your electronic Blutner.
Yeah. Even on the real one, the Model 1 is really good.
Oh, I'm sure. Other John, do you have any questions? And they may be eating and watching and not, you know, ready to participate. That's possible. And that's okay too. it's fine to have.
I'm seeing that this came from free-scores.com.
Okay. Well, I put it so you guys can download it if you want to.
Okay.
It's there.
Let me check that out.
It's decent. You know, I can't seem to find. I'll take one more look if I can find the Paderewski. That's sort of that was the standard one, but for some reason I'm not finding it. Wait a minute. Oh, I did. Okay. See, this was considered the standard for a long time, but you know there are a lot of editions. But let's see how they treat. Now, this is interesting. Well, let's see. Okay, let me do a quick comparison at the beginning. They have longer phrases than yours.
Really?
Yeah, this is very different. They don't break up the phrasing in the right hand. You see how it's one long line between yours has each two measures. This is one long line, and then this is also longer than it is on yours.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Wow.
very, very different. So that you would get more, well, and of course the key, it was written in what, D flat. Slightly different color, right? The idea of a longer singing line. And there's something to be said for that. And also, so they actually have the slur over all of the left hand. They don't break it to justify their fingering. See how it goes all the way across?
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
And they actually, although they have the same fingering as yours, they go 1, 2, 1, 3, 5. Now, if I pedal it like that, I can kind of get away with it. Does that sound like one long line?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it does.
I don't like that though. I like the one that you send in the chat. Yep.
I don't think I have another edition. I'd love to compare. See, this is why it's interesting to compare, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, I don't pretend to be a Chopin scholar. Of course, I should be giving reasonable performances. But, you know, it's fun because it's like, well, why do people make these choices? And the whole point is that we can make our own choices, you know, honestly.
Yep.
And I mean, what it really struck me when I was working on my master's in Daniel Pollock, I was working on some things, and very explicitly in a Brahms, it said diminuendo, I felt it crescendoed in the harmony. And he said, well, you play it convincingly, do the crescendo. Maybe when you're older, you'll want to do it differently. And, you know, that really impressed on me how, you know, performance is a creative thing as well. You know, it's a creative process. We're not simply automatons copying stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting, the one I have, the phrase on the second, third, and fourth note.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why I play.
Can you send us a screen grab of that?
Yeah, I actually like mine because it kind of changes up a little more.
See, because this goes back to what I said at the beginning of 6/8. You can change how it's emphasized, right? You know, we have a lot of interpretive control. Now, for some people, it's like saying, whoa, how can I possibly make any of these choices? But, you know, we can do as much or as little of this as we want to.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't send anything.
What's that?
I can't put it in the chat. It won't let me.
It won't let you?
I'm not an admin.
Right. You have to make
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay. Well, and I'm not going to try to change the permissions right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can.
Let me
Yeah.
find it. It's on the IMSL.
Okay.
That's the one
So,
I use.
Describe how it's phrased again.
The left hand, you're phrasing the second, third, and fourth note together.
Oh, really?
Beats.
Okay.
Yeah, second, third, and fourth, and then the
Uh-huh.
first and fifth or another.
So more like that.
Yeah. Well, the middle three are together better. Yeah.
And then is the fifth one separate again?
Yep. I'll send you the thing. Let me find
Okay.
it.
So it's funny. We can have this. We can have, or we can have. That's three very distinct ways, and it changes the flow, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think the last one sounds robotic because it's too smooth.
Well, and you know, one thing another teacher said was that you might, when you have it repeating like that forever, almost ad nauseum, why not change it up? You know, maybe there's a time you'd want to do all three of those, right?
Interesting.
depending on what's happening in the right hand. There's nothing that says it has to be the same. I mean, you really wonder about that if there's so much divergence, right, in these editions. I really think it's about making musical choices, you know. How does it fit with what's happening in the right hand? It's interesting.
Or your mood, right? So you can play it depending on your mood.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, when we're at, or the piano you're playing on, or the hall, or your tempo, right? How fast we play something makes a difference too. I mean, if I'm going to play this faster, it's andante. What does andante mean?
It's briskly.
What's the literal definition of andante in Italian? Anybody know? Walking. Walking. Now,
What is it?
Walking.
Andante.
Oh, walking.
So I tend to walk pretty fast. So, but you know, depending on how fast you're walking, if I'm going,
it's too fast.
well,
it's not a lullaby. At that point, it's not a lullaby.
But then, of course, it's easier to have one slur, right? If you're going, doesn't that suggest a slower tempo?
Yeah,
I think so. And then yours might be a little bit faster, because what does it do? If you go to the third chord, you're actually going to the tritone to the attention, right? It's leading you. You hear that intensity, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the first one kind of glosses it over, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You see, I mean, I could go on about this all night, but
Wow.
but
I never thought about it like that.
right. And this is why this is a great piece, right? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
John and I used to joke about this and long playing it, and it's like, why do you want to play that piece? But this is a fun,
Yeah.
you know, it's a fine piece, and there's a lot of choices you can make, you know, and that's another reason to say, depending on the harmony, you might want to emphasize. Like here, for instance, if we look at the fourth measure, is that as intense as? That has.
Hey, I just sent you the PDF. Check it out. Load it up.
Where?
It's in the chat. I found it.
I don't see it yet.
Yeah.
It's right there in the chat. That link, the imslp.org link, it should take you straight to the.
I don't have it. Oh, you mean the first? This one at 727.
745.
I don't have it yet. For some reason, it's not here. Don't ask me why, but no, I don't have it. You must have sent it. You sure you sent it to everyone?
Yeah, I put it to everyone. Oh, I sent it to John. Oops.
Yeah, I don't have it.
There we go. All right,
all right, there it is. Now I see it. Okay, cool. Oh, and Veronica's here. That's great.
Yeah, so that's the one I've been playing on, and then I found some like a small minor detail where they messed up on the note somewhere. I fixed it.
Okay.
Hey, this is a good man. I like this piece.
No, I can't look at it. I'm not a member, but that's all right.
No, you can download it. You have to join everything. It'll show up.
No?
It should let you just download it
Click
anonymously.
continue to get these free tools. And you're
Yeah.
almost done. Click the Add to Chrome button,
Oh,
then
sorry.
click Add Extension
All
to
that.
continue.
That's okay. Yeah, it won't let me download it. But
I'm
that's
sorry. I was just downloading.
No,
it,
that's
so-
okay. Don't worry. Well, so that's, you know, so Veronica, we're talking about the Berceuse, and we're talking about, I'll put the link in the window one more time so that you can take a look as well. Chopin. This is we've talked about various parts, but this is the first line. We've discovered that in 3 editions, there's 3 different ways of phrasing it. One is the second one, where we have 2 groups. And then the last one is the Paderewski, where they slur over all of it. And they all have a very different interpretive effect, don't they? And what I was saying to everybody was how you can vary it depending on what's happening in the right hand and how you want the interpretation to come across. And that's perfectly all right. You're late, no problem. It's nice to have you here at all. It's nice to have people here. You know, because this gets so involved. I mean, where would be a place you'd want a more complicated left hand? Where the right hand's less involved, where the right hand is maybe coming to a stop or a structural point. You know, these are all things we think about. What's a structural point? Maybe where the variation changes, right? You know, at the end of it. Like when we did this last one, it's not the last one, but this one. Do we want to imitate that legato in the right hand? Or do we want more of a contrast to kind of break it up? Any thoughts on that?
I break it up.
Yeah, because it might be too much the same, right? You know, it gives it, but some might say they want this kind of a color because we've had all these triplets and things right before, right?
But it's not only that, you're breaking it up and then you're emphasizing like every other third note or something like that while you're playing your right hand.
It could
That's
be
what I'm doing too.
It could be too sing-songy too, right? You know,
And then I'm actually not even emphasizing left hand so much. I'm making it like soft the whole time because that's supposed to be the lullaby section in my opinion. So the right hand is always the one that kind of dances more, and you change your notes so that you pick your.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it were, there's so much activity in the right hand, we kind of want the left hand to get out of the way of it. What about when it sort of returns to the beginning at the very last? You know, there maybe we want it more equal, right?
Yeah, but that fourth note, the first note, there's like a line above it, so you kind of hold it too. On mine,
yours? Really?
On mine, yeah.
See, we don't have that here.
Yeah, see, yeah, you don't have so on the right. On my side, you kind of emphasize on that note. Ding.
Which note? So that I can.
The first note that you played, whatever.
The F. The F.
Yeah, is that the F? Yep, the F.
So the F here has a what was that?
Yes, on mine has a bar, so you kind of hang on to it for a little bit, and then you keep going.
So that's obviously an interpretive choice, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
If it's not here, I mean.
Yes.
That idea, right? And of course, what's interesting this time, we don't go to that 5/7, the C, G flat. What do we go to instead? It's the same chord, right?
Yes.
See how it's D flat F, right?
Yeah.
You see that, Naqueva?
Yes.
So that's a totally different effect emotionally, and there's a sense, I guess, of completion, right? We kind of come, it sounds like, so the first time, to show you, it sounds like, so that's one sound. But then, as it winds down at the end, where is it? All right. It's different, isn't it?
Yep.
He keeps it all D flat. He doesn't go to the 5/7. Why do you suppose he does that?
Keep you in suspense.
It's like we don't really know where we're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the harmony, there's kind of more, it's in a sense too, there's a sense of discordance because we're so used to going to either that 5/7 or that 5. And this time it's like, well, you're right. There's a sense of suspense. What's going to happen? And then he plays with this D flat, E flat, where he overlaps the hands this way at the end.
Yep, I like that ending.
So it's all been, normally we have a dominant preparation before the end of the piece, you know, the 5/7. Here we go. And then we'll go to the tonic. Well, this time, he sort of does the opposite. We have sort of a tonic preparation, you know, this whole Then the last line. This is all one. This is all D flat. Stop. 5, 7, 1. Makes a dramatic ending, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So he plays with expectation. You know, the tonal system, whether it's Chopin or Brahms or Beethoven or anybody, it's all about expectation and how you fulfill it or don't. And I think it's very ingenious that instead of a dominant preparation, he gives us, well, now it is in 6/4 position. It's in second inversion 1. That's root, first inversion. That's the cadential 6/4, which then should go to that, and then we go to the 1. So it's kind of like a dominant preparation, but we haven't done this at all before in the piece, so it's rather ingenious. But you know, that's the ending. But
I'm glad you recorded this.
I know. I'll go off if I talk about this stuff. But I don't have. Well, I could talk about all the variations, but then we go on all night. You know, and that's a whole other thing. But you know, he has all these chromatic things too, which is very, very Chopin. This being opus, what is the opus on this? 57. Yeah, it's late. Of course, he did a lot of mazurkas later than this, but he'd done a lot of very chromatic pieces by the time he'd done this. Yeah, this is a great choice. Great choice. Well, as I say, I could go on all night, but any other comments, observations?
No, thank you for such a lovely discussion. Wow.
Oh, good. Well, I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Thanks, John, for coming. You've added a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's comments. It's so wonderful.
Veronica, do you want to give us a preview of tomorrow? If you're there. I know you're there, but maybe you're busy and that's okay too. Tomorrow, I see in the chat. Thank you, Wednesday. I know, well, tomorrow's my birthday, so I'm focused on that. So yes, Wednesday, and if you want to put the program in the event, that would be great too. Maybe you're deciding on that, but maybe you could give those of us here a preview of what Ellen, you don't have a microphone. Okay, well, could you type in a little of the program? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of frustrating. I had a nice birthday party last year, but I can't do that. And Joe invited me to go to the Headliners Club for dinner tomorrow, and I could have invited people, but nobody wants to come because of the pandemic. Everybody's afraid, so it's just going to be the two of us, but that'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have I haven't had a martini. They make a mean martini, so I'm going to have that tomorrow. So the first ballade of Chopin, that's going to be great. Oh yeah, Opus 10, number 2, movement 3. That'll be nice. That's that one. Awesome piece. Oh, the list, that'll be nice too. Yeah, great program. Oh, good. The 4th movement of the 6th sonata. That's going to be nice too. That's going to be a great program. Well, excuse me. Well, we're definitely looking forward to it. We're really happy to have Ellen back. That's going to be neat. Okay. Yes. Well, yeah. Thank you. We're really looking forward to having her. Oh, by the way, if we could do, yes, let's do a sound check at 5:30 on Wednesday. And it'll be the same Zoom meeting as for the concert. And what we'll do is we'll just leave it open and have everything will be set. So we'll do that on Wednesday. Great. Well, what should we talk about next week? John, you'd said something a couple weeks ago.
How to memorize, I think.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that because it involves a lot of the same things we talked about today, you know, patterns and harmonies and repetitions or not.
Yeah, and part of memorization is playing it at speed or slightly faster to get your fingers down.
Well, there's that, but there are other things as well. There's finger memory. What other kinds of memory are there?
Pitch.
Right.
Remembering the pitch.
Which people with perfect pitch sometimes think they have an advantage, but they don't, particularly if you transpose the piece.
Because if the piano's out of tune, it's so hard to play.
It's a disaster. Or if you transpose it, you know, it's a nightmare for them. Like this whole C, you know, playing the Berceuse in C versus D flat, they'd be crazy. But you know, there's also knowing the harmonies. You know, knowing, for instance, like if I'm playing the piece and I have a little brain slip in the Berceuse, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I go to the cadential 6/4. It's not going to be that one. It's not going to be that one. It's going to be the D flat F. You know, it's things like that. Finger memory is great until it's not there. And if we're performing memorized and it's like you have nothing to hang it on, well, pitch memory, but melody, you know, the phrasing of it. And now I've got to go up to this chord that feels and sounds like this. Now I've got to go to this harmony. It's things like that. What's a piece we could talk about next time? Let's pick a piece that wouldn't be too complicated, but that would be interested. I mean, I can come up with one, but does anybody have any ideas?
Man, I don't have one right now.
Nicueva, do you have any ideas? This was great that you brought the Berceuse. I mean, I can think of one, of course, and likewise, you can Ballade Number 1 by Chopin. How to memorize it? Would that be the question? Well, we could talk about that. Sure. I mean, that's a piece I play. Okay, why don't we talk about the first Ballade? So let's talk about that next time. That'd be good. How to memorize various things, at least parts of it.
Yeah.
She's the one here telling me. That's fine. Well, we can talk about that. And likewise, if people want to bring another piece too. But the first Ballade's a good choice because Chopin's good and it has different sections. And, you know, of course, when something's really different, then it's a little bit easier to figure it out. But, you know, like I say, finger memorization, melody memorization, harmony memorization. And you mentioned something about being able to play it after tempo. You know, I've talked about how I'll sometimes play something at a slow speed to get that timeline. Because music is all about timeline, you know, painting and other things. You can put it out there and then come back to it 10 years later and change it, right? Because it still exists. But with a piece, it only exists when we're playing it and we record it, but it's still not the same thing. So timeline is very important. Okay, good. Well, I guess I better shut it down, but thanks so much. It'll be great to have everybody. And I'll see some of you on Wednesday, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, have a nice evening, everybody.
Hey, Veronica, if you scroll up in the chat, there's a Facebook channel or group. Yeah, it's a piano group that I have if you want to join.
Okay, we'll see everybody later.